Welcome back and many thanks for staying with us on the #1 breakfast show in the country, Morning at NTV. I do have Stephen Asimwe. He is the Director for Business Policy and Business Development at the Private Sector Foundation, Uganda. He's already here to talk about the DRC joining the EAC. What is the relevance? What is the significance of the Democratic Republic of Congo joining the EAC? How does Uganda benefit? You as a business entity, a business person, what are you said to benefit from DRC joining the EAC, which also Uganda has also been embarking on so many infrastructure developments within the DRC. What do we have to gain from all that? Well, I do have Stephen Asimwe, the Director Policy and Business Development at the Private Sector Foundation, Uganda. Very good morning, sir.
Thank you for hosting me, Romeo, and good morning, viewers.
Pleasure to have you again. And the first question, why admit the DRC? They do not use English, #1. They are not geographically located within the East African region. And #3, they are largely unstable.
That's a very good question. First of all, we need to understand the context of the East African community. Yeah. Quick background. The EAC was first established in 1967.
Right.
And it had only 10 years of longevity. It died and then resurrected again in the 90s, upon which the traditional EAC members was Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania. Consequently, 2 other countries were added, Rwanda and Burundi, which are French-speaking. Yeah. So the context of language is that you already have 2 countries there. Yeah. Fast forward, we had another additional member joining us, Southern Sudan, which is, you may say, quasi-English and some other languages. But I think it's more the principle than just the conjecture. First of all, the DRC, in my view, and in the views of many people in the business area, is a fantastic phenomenon. The DRC brings on board over 110 million people. The DRC has just overtaken Egypt as the 3rd most populous country.
Shouldn't that be a problem or a strain on the other member countries?
As a businessman,
vice versa?
I look at numbers. I look at the
Those
opportunities.
Potential customers.
Absolutely.
110 million.
Absolutely, you're right. And therefore, 110 million people is a very good proposition for us. We are struggling with the markets. Congo is a very rich country in terms of natural resources. Yeah. Gold, diamonds, bauxite, cobalt, coltan, name it. Literally every precious metal is found in the DRC.
And it beats the mind of the viewer why they are still wallowing in poverty if they have all these natural resources.
Yes, and that will bring into something maybe we can discuss later. So therefore, for us as Uganda, we see this potentially as a fantastic market. And I think just about last year, the president talked about fixing or building roads. Yeah. 3 roads from Bunagana, from Bunia, Pondwe, and some roads up north. So therefore, it presents a fantastic opportunity for us to do business, big population, deep pockets, and therefore we've been struggling to get our goods outside there. You may recall that at one point, Sudan, Northern Sudan became our biggest importer of coffee. Right now, our imports are standing at about $500 million to the DRC. So by joining the EAC, easing the way we do business, restriction on movement, goods and services, fantastic. What does Uganda stand to benefit? We have a growing industrial base. So our cement, our beverages sector, our textiles, our food exports, for grains, for fresh food, our milk, our beef, our chicken, our eggs. There's a huge market. Right now, DRC, after we have removed the biggest offcuts from our fillet exports on fish, the rest is taken to the Congo. And for me, I really see huge openings for us as a country. And just before I forget, Romeo, Uganda Uganda Airlines established 3 flights a week to the DRC.
That's amazing.
So great.
Indeed.
And that means we can expand more into especially the eastern part of the DRC for our flights to get more business people and opportunities there.
Let's talk about what are the likely investments that could actually make a viable return for our country, given the emergence of oil sector within this country?
Oh, absolutely. What is also true is that the Albertine Graben, the region where the oil is actually has been discovered, actually crosses over to the DRC.
You see?
So we have opportunities for joint ventures.
Close proximity.
We share the same borderline. Pretty much our longest border is with with the DRC. So the whole of Lake Albert, parts of Lake George are actually found in the DRC. Now, what that means is that once that exploration program begins, and the building of the pipeline, which is, by the way, starting very, very soon, it means that we'll have a lot of cross-linkages with the DRC people, and obviously it will be much easier for them if they were to begin an oil process.
Indeed.
They would actually cross-link with us.
It would be very, very easy.
Absolutely.
And we also do know that the Democratic Republic of Congo is part of the Southern African Development Community,
Yes,
SADC.
yes,
Don't you think it will cause a clash with South Africa and also necessitating a name change?
No, I think it will actually add value, because right now the DRC is not just a member of the SADC, it's also a member of COMESA, which we are members also. So you remember that at the beginning of this year, the African Union, the member states, signed what is known as the Africa Continental Free Trade Area,
Yes.
which essentially opens up huge opportunities
I should
for
have
us.
a conversation on this next week on Monday.
Yes, yes.
The
and
SCFTA.
SCFTA. And we're looking at Africa as a bloc. Just to give you a matter of debate, when we try to export to the EU or the United States and Goa, there are so many restrictions. Phytosanitary conditions, weight, issues of supply chain management, quality control. There's so many. What's very, very interesting is that those kind of restrictions are not there between us and our neighbors. But that doesn't mean, of course, that we should export very inferior products. But having said that, Romeo,
Yes.
Only until independence, we had very good trading relations with the DRC. We didn't have any barriers. Movement of people and goods and services were there anyway for thousands of years. But just to give you another very good proposition for us, the entire communities that are on the borders with the DRC, we share same brothers and sisters across. So all the Bakonjo, the Batoro, the Banyoro, the Alurs are actually found on the other side. So we actually have families there. This will only ease movement, so issues to do with immigration. We are now discussing one-stop border posts. So that means that under the EAC, we will have it much easier. Issues of protocols, conversion of currencies, but more importantly, that business engagement, issues to do with education. We have over 49 universities, so there'll be opportunities for
them to
the
come to
Congolese
our
to come
country.
and study. We will have expatriates on the other side. They have a lot of challenges on human resource, so job creation, business opportunities, value addition, all that. In
Don't
my
you think
view,
it will open the borders and a linkage for the ADF to make a comeback into our country if we open the borders to DRC and so forth?
that is a possibility,
Yes.
but therein lies another opportunity. Again, for every disappointment, there's an appointment.
Indeed.
And I'll tell you why. Once that relationship is established, because they'll have to sign protocols under the EAC rules
Yes.
of discussion, that means that then they'll be more responsible, they'll be more responsive, there'll be issues of due diligence. I think that actually there will be less destabilization. There will be a more openness.
Because it will be a concerted effort
Absolutely.
to actually stop the conflict
Yes.
within DRC.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
We
I
will
think
be
so.
seeing Uganda, merge with the DRC to go in there and actually fight these rebels
I
within
think
this
that
jurisdiction.
there will be very, very good discussions along
Because
the
of the
lines
partnership.
of restricting instability that would ensure if a lot of those elements are on the other side of the border.
All right, Stephen Asimwe, if you are to address yourself to a business entity or business person within this jurisdiction of Uganda, what would you say to them, or what are they set to benefit by doing business with the DRC?
What I would tell my business people, and I speak for the Private Sector Foundation, which is the apex body of the entire private sector. So under the Private Sector Foundation, we have sectors: manufacturing, oil and gas, business, trade, investment. We have ICT, we have education. I would essentially tell my people to start to study the DRC as an opportunity to get their goods across, or their services.
School proprietors?
And absolutely, school, but more importantly, to start to learn the language and start to get government. After this meeting, we are going for a meeting with the Ministry of Trade and Industry and Cooperatives, and we are going to discuss how do we accentuate, how do we actualize this discussion? What sort of opportunities are going to be in place? And obviously, we are going to engage government to see how these protocols can be improved, what sort of easing of movements of people, of goods, of services are going to be put in place, and obviously to train and prepare our people to take advantage of this market.
Also give us an overview idea of how this region will develop in the next 10 years, given the recent developments, DRC joining the EAC. What do the next 10 years look like?
I see that next, I'm an optimist.
Indeed, me too.
Absolutely an optimist. And I believe that, especially given the kind of restrictions we've been seeing with some of our neighbors, our sugar can't cross, we can't get rice over, our cement, a lot of the production from our industry is getting stuck. For me, I see this as a huge opportunity to get. Now, I'll tell you one thing, Romeo. If there's one thing that we need as a continent, as a region, it is to ensure that we have very good infrastructure. We are discussing the standard gauge railway, coming all the way from Mombasa, through Malaba, and going across all the way to Kinshasa and Matadi. Matadi is the port, the port of entry in the DRC. So we are looking at a Indian Ocean Atlantic divide, and then we're looking at another road from the Cairo to Cape Town. Once we can see an ease of movement of people, goods and services, then for us as a country, we don't need to trade with some of these countries abroad there who have very unnecessary restrictions, and we are a very rich continent, by the way. We are, with all the resources that are in Congo, I see a huge future that we can cross-pollinate as a
But let's look at the overall strength of the EAC as a whole. We've been at loggerheads with the Kenyans already. They were not taking our mail because it was substandard and so forth. There were some shortcomings already. Don't you expect the same shortcomings when we are dealing with the DRC?
No, I think that actually for me therein lies the opportunity. The DRC is a net importer of milk.
Yes.
It's a net importer of beef. It's a net importer of fish.
And we all
it's a net importer of a lot of the vegetables. I mean, talk about everything. The DRC, they have a famous cuisine dish called sombe, which are the leaves of cassava. Ugandans just take the roots, but the top part is thrown away. This is from a very, very mundane perspective, an opportunity for us. So our corn, our, everything that we grow as a country, will all obviously find acceptability and opportunity on the asset. And I think for me, this will going to answer anybody trying to block us and open doors for our opportunities for our businesses and our industries.
Indeed. And finally, what does the future of the East African community look like?
Well, obviously now what's going to happen is that because of the expansion of the sites, there'll be more contribution, especially by member states. There'll be more representation. We're going to see a bigger legislature. They have a parliament called the East African Legislative Assembly, the East African Court of Justice, the East African Business Council, the East African Law Society, the East African Health Society. So we're going to see Arusha getting bigger, more vibrant. We're going to see more discussions. We're going to see more representation. The DRC will probably, in my view, probably house some of the commissions, like the mining and some of the exploratory portfolios that will emerge. And you know that there are many others waiting. Somalia wants to join, Ethiopia wants to join, Malawi wants to join. And EAC, with all its slightly turbulent moments, is, in my view, the most progressive region. And I think that more ideas, more French, more Francophone element will come in. And with the Ethiopians waiting and knocking on the door, I think we are going to be the biggest, most powerful region force.
And you don't think the political instability we've been seeing in some of the East African countries might disintegrate the EAC community?
That's a possibility, but there's also the possibility that there will be that sense of we belong to this group, maybe at the level of discussion at IALA.
Yes.
At the secretariat,
yes.
There will be a lot of political discussion in the corridors, which might ease or bring about a cushion against some of those.
Because political instability means less business being done.
Absolutely. But also closer dialogue, more engagement. Because you see, when you have business discussions on the table,
indeed,
they kind of diffuse political tensions. There's more at stake for the business person, for your GDP, for your exports, for opportunities.
It offers redress and
Yes,
removes uncertainty.
absolutely. And you've noticed that business people are taking an upper hand in terms of political discussions. They are saying, if you fight, we lose. The population loses. But therein also lies in the element when people kind of mix and get closer, there's a sense of unity, and therefore I think that I'm the most optimistic and the happiest person in terms of the business proposition.
All right, because unity can only spell development for the East African community.
Absolutely.
Stephen Asimwe, the Director of Policy and Business Development at the Private Sector Foundation Uganda, thank you for having made the time to speak to us.
Thank you, Romeo, and thank you very much, our viewers.
Indeed.
Thank you.
And to you, the viewer who has been watching from 6:30 a.m. up to now, we couldn't be more grateful for your undeterred love and support. My name is Romeo Busiku, and all the kings, queens, boys and girls who are celebrating their birthdays on this particular day, please be cognizant of the fact that the coronavirus is still rearing its very ugly head. 115 million plus cases have been registered on the international scene. The United States taking the biggest chunk, 29 million. You have India, 11.1 million. You have Brazil, 10.7 million. Here in Uganda, 40,408. So we need to do more to ensure that we stop the COVID-19 pandemic within its tracks. A very good morning and wear a face mask.